Welcome to Survival Crash Course. This is Omega Agent 661, and today we're doing a 5-year long-term review on the Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife. Let's get to it. The Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife is a budget-friendly, large, fixed-blade knife made in China. I know, weak sauce. Anyway, its overall length is 10 inches, of which 4.8 inches of that is a drop point blade with a very slight recurve made from a suspicious high-carbon stainless steel.
Right.
According to Amazon.com, the steel is 7CR17 MOV. Twinkie steel alert. It's a stocky chunk of Twinkie steel though, and measures about a 1/4 inch thick. The handle material is a plastic handle with the gray and orange rubber overmold. I actually like the color scheme, but I have heard people complain that the orange screams a little too much wannabe poser, but I apparently am that demographic, so I can't complain. It's nice and grippy, but the thumb ramp feels a bit cheap. The knife weighs about 11 ounces and comes with a multi-part polymer and nylon sheath that also houses a ferro rod, diamond sharpener, and a sewn label with alpine rescue instructions that double as a storage area. The Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife is a classic Gerber design that is based on the Gerber LMF2 and has some really cool details. The drop point blade has a durable gray coating and is laser etched with the Gerber logo, Bear Grylls signature, and a ferro rod strike indicator that I found was a really nice touch. The slightest of recurves adds a little more style and function to the 3/4 tang blade. Moving on, the knife has extra lashing points too near the base of the blade and, the lanyard hole in the pommel that you can use to create makeshift spears. The pommel is also designed for hammering and is made of durable, if mysterious steel, and has a waffle print. The handle is contoured nicely and has a dedicated finger groove that fits my hand perfectly. The overmolded rubber has a stylish line texture that radiates from the base of the handle to the pommel with ever-growing stripes, and bright orange highlights on the handle make this knife stand out in pretty much any environment. Overall, the knife design is functional and I dig the style. Let's do a quick size comparison. Here it is with a larger size folding knife, the Microtech SOCOM Elite. Now here it is next to the Spadaco M4 Shaman. Next up is a very popular fixed blade knife, the Benchmade Bushcrafter 162. And last, we compare it to the largest folder in my collection, the SOG Fielder XL. As you can see, the knife seems to be sized just right for most camping or survivalist needs without being too big or too small. So, I have very mixed reviews on the performance of this knife. Overall, the knife has performed well. It came sharp out of the box and efficiently accomplished most of the cutting and slicing tasks I've thrown at it. On the downside, the knife dulled quickly and the blade edge took nicks rather easily. Also, the durability of the pommel area is highly questionable. I was able to hammer stakes and small nails with no problem at all, but I did find a weak point here due to the 3/4 tang design. Where the pommel is attached to the knife, there is basically a cheap, tiny screw that is screwed into a piece of flimsy plastic that attaches it to the knife. Trust me, I found that out the hard way. That point failed under high impact testing. Okay, I was practicing knife throwing into a tree when I was camping, and apparently I need a lot more practice. Let's go over the build quality of this knife. This is a knife meant to take a pounding, and it's big and thick.
That's what she said.
But it isn't perfect. First off, the grinds are not great. They appear a bit uneven, and the tip is definitely off. The blade edge took a few nicks from the testing and was quick to duel. Aside from that though, the handle is still secured firmly, and overall, the knife feels durable. For a more affordable option, this knife can really take a beating. Is it, at Benchmade or Marketex level of detail? No, but then again, it isn't at that price point either. I would just make sure not to use it as a throwing knife, and you should be fine for a pretty long time. Which brings us to value. All in with tax, I spent around 35 bucks on this bad boy. Not a bad price at all for all that you get. Obviously, you're not getting super steel at this price, but you are getting a super thick hunk of steel that'll take a beating. If you're on a budget and are rounding out your go bag or checking items off your camping list, this knife will serve its purpose and allow you to invest more money in other items. I've said it before, and I'll say it again, especially if you're new to this channel, I'm not rich. I know many of you crash coursers watching aren't either. So I think for the price, this knife is a fantastic value. I purchased this knife originally back in 2015, and thanks to Gerber's lifetime warranty, I still got one going on strong 5 years later. And I haven't even mentioned the extra value you get from the included ferrule rod and survival whistle. Unfortunately, this exact knife has been discontinued and may be hard to find, but you can find lots of great new Gerbers in similar price ranges right now, such as the nearly identical Gerber Ultimate Survival Knife, which just looks like a repaint without all the fancy extras. And for a little more money, the all-new Gerber Principal. Honestly, I can't wait to get my hands on one of those to review. They look pretty sweet. Anyways, I'll have the link to those knives and more Gerber fixed blade knives available from Blade HQ in my description below. So now we move on to my knife review rating score. For all you new crash coursers, this rating system is something I came up with to help me quantify and rate my knife collection, and has a lot of different categories such as blade steel, design, performance, etc. The more premium details or material the knife has, the higher score it usually is. So let's see how this knife is rated after 5 years of use. So the first category rates the blade steel. This blade uses bona fide Twinkie steel that duels and nicks up easily, but it isn't too hard to sharpen, and the thickness of the blade and the reinforced drop point design make this a strong and durable performer. In the end, the cheap steel hurt its blade steel score, so I ended up giving it a 2 out of 10. Next up is handles or scales. This knife doesn't use any premium materials, but I dig the classic design and I like the feel of the rubber over molded grit. The knife feels comfortable. The contours and finger guard fit me well, and I like the grippy texture. Also, I'm a huge poser and I love the orange highlights. Bite me, haters. I give this category a score of 4 out of 10. The next category is value. Look, the saying goes that you get what you pay for, but in this case, it's only partly true. You don't get any super steel or even above average steel, and you won't see a lick of Cerakote or a smidgen of G10. But on the flip side, for this low price point, you get a lifetime warranty, you get extra accessories that are actually useful, unlike, the toyish survival accessories on the Leatherman Signal, and you get a durable hunk of steel. Not to mention, this knife actually performed well, looks cool, again, bite me haters, and cost me less than 40 bucks. I gave this knife a 9 out of 10. Moving on, our next category grants up to 5 extra points for build quality, coating / paint, and hardware. The build quality on this knife is okay. It is what it is. Nothing special. Nothing is falling apart, other than that little knife throwing incident. The grinds leave a little bit to be desired, but the coating on the blade looks nice and it's held up well. In the end, I gave this knife 1 out of 5 possible extra points. Now we move on to performance. So I never go into the individual slicing, chopping, piercing, and slashing extra points. I never do. But overall, this knife performed well. The blade edge did suffer from some nicks, but it didn't roll and it wasn't too hard to sharpen. I'm happy with how durable overall this blade has been. I batoned it into firewood, created kindling with it, used a ferro rod to spark up a fire, and after hitting it real quick with my ceramic rod, went on to trim some tri-tip to throw over that fire. So I have no real complaints with this performance. In the end, I gave this knife a 6 out of 10. The next category is pocket present / sheath. The Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife comes with a combination mildew resistant nylon that feels a little flimsy and a rubber sheath that is just as grippy as the handle but without that extra texture, and it seems durable. There are 3 nylon strips that work as belt loops on this sheath, a vertical one for belt carry on your hip and 2 horizontal strips. I guess you could presumably carry this knife scout style with the 2 horizontal strips, but the belt loops are too small for any of my belts. The vertical strap that serves as the belt loop is much bigger, but I found that wearing it right there, the knife rolled a little too high on my hip. In addition to that, all the belt loops were very tight, making it a little difficult to put on my belt. I think adding a dangler to the top loop might be the best carry option for this knife. I basically ended up just throwing it into my go bag or backpack and leaving it in there instead of carrying it and carrying something else. The sheath also includes storage for the included ferro rod, and unlatching the Velcro straps, you'll find a small diamond sharpener on the back of the rubber portion of the sheath. It's a good idea, but the execution isn't quite there yet. So I give it a 3 out of 5. Finally, we come up to our last category, extra points. This category grants up to 5 points based on subjective style, special features, and design. The Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife looks ruggedly handsome in my honest opinion, and packs some useful design features into a really affordable and hardworking knife. So I ended up giving it 3 extra points out of 5. So the grand total score is 40 out of a max possible 75. Not bad when you consider the price and what you get. It's it doesn't score as high as some of my premium knives, but that's a pretty good score nonetheless. So to sum things up, I think Gerber did a nice job on the Gerber Bear Grylls Ultimate Knife. In my opinion, the design works well and looks good. All the extra little survivalist bits make wannabes like me feel rugged, outdoorsy, and capable, and the Rules of Survival booklet actually has some good information in it. The overall build quality is, okay, but I feel like I got my money's worth. After 5 years with this knife, I can happily say that I do not regret this purchase one bit. That's it for this week's episode of Survival Crash Course. Thanks for watching. Please like and consider subscribing. Until next time, this is Omega Agent 661 signing out.